I hope you guys are having a good day. To everybody that's in the live chat, as well as if you're watching this on replay. You know what we're here for today? We're going to be talking about Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider Man episodes 9 and 10. We got the finale, and oh my goodness, like this show just it it did so many different things that I don't think I was expecting. I don't think you guys were expecting, and I love when shows can be able to suspend the belief on certain things. A lot of twists and turns that this series has done throughout, its episodes that I really like appreciate, and it just adds, so much more that you can do with a Spider-Man story. You can make it fresh. You can make it this, brand new thing. And, you know, I just want to get into it. I want to get into your guys' comments. I want to hear what you guys think about, episodes 9 and 10, as well as what you guys think about the show overall. How do you guys feel? What do you rate it, on a rating scale of 1 to 10? Maybe a letter grade, A grade, B grade, whatever you guys are feeling. I would love to hear your thoughts and stuff. And let's get into the comments. Let's see, Janine. Happy birthday, Janine. I know you're gonna be celebrating that, so happy birthday to Janine. If you guys want to tell her happy birthday in the chat, I don't know if she's still here. 40, you said season 2. Yeah, Spider-Gwen's coming to Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. You guys probably seen it on all over the internet. I'm sure you guys saw my video that I did. It was a pretty quick video that I decided to do. We're gonna get into that too, because that's definitely an interesting topic. Because I would love to hear, your thoughts on that. Who should voice Gwen? I hope Dove Cameron. I think Dove Cameron would be dope. She's my fan casting for Gwen, so I would love to see that. If she doesn't do it in live action, I think in an animated series, I think that'd be cool. What's up, Carson? What's up, man? I gotta know what are your thoughts on the show? We've talked a lot about the show and stuff, but I kind of just want to hear your like overall thoughts. Freddie, what's up, man? I know, right? The show was amazing. We finally got to see the classic suit. It's amazing. Talk about a moment that felt earned. It felt so earned being able to see him in that classic suit. Even though it was like the last two episodes, I still think leading up to it, the development of it just felt very earned. And really, to me, him getting the suit in this series felt so much more impactful than it does when Tom gets it at the end of No Way Home. That's how I feel about it. I like I said, there's no disrespect to Tom. I mean, I like him getting it at the end of No Way Home, but I just feel like here it just felt so much more earned. It felt impactful. So I appreciate the writers and everybody making a something like that feel so impactful. Love the title card. That's the Easter egg of Insomniac Spider. Really, really. I mean, I could definitely see it because that feels like in photo mode. That feels like a shot you would do in photo mode. So that's probably my favorite title card out of all the title cards, and I love the title cards. Like they're dope. The Daredevil one is cool. The Spider-Man No More one is cool. I love that one. Obviously, the first one where he's saving Harry, the Amazing Fantasy 15 reference, love that one. But if I were to choose out of all the 10 that we gotten out of the title cards, the finale, the final episode, that one's my favorite title card. I love the classic suit, and that one to me just embodies that vibe of what Spider-Man is for me personally. So I'm really glad that they took the initiative, to kind of show us the different things they could do with this series. And you're right, Costello, it felt very fresh. This series felt like a breath of fresh air. We're Spider-Man fans, we're Marvel fans for the most part. We know about how this all happens. We know about his origin story. We know how he gets bitten by a spider and that changes his entire life. Like, we know all that. Like, that's a given. But what this series does differently is it takes that and it spins it on its head, and I think it does it really well. So again, shout out to Jeff Trammell and the team and the writers and just everybody involved with this series. They all deserve a round of applause for all their work that they've done with this series. CH, you said I rate Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man a 10 out of 10. Oh wow, that's awesome. What's up, Solomon? You said, oh my god, the episodes were crazy. We got Peter put in, yeah, he was definitely putting in some work on Scorpion for sure. We almost got Dark Peter for a second, maybe season 2. I could see it maybe season 2. It seems like they were going down that route, so who knows? Maybe we could get sort of a scene where he does go off the rail a little bit more than what we saw. Costello, you said like an 8.5 out of 10. That's a good rating. That's a solid rating. What's up, Z? What's up? Oh, it's Marvel fan. Oh, what's up, man? You got a new profile? What happened to your old profile? What's up, man? I gotta know. What did you think of the show overall? I'd love to hear your thoughts. I've been having technical difficulties. All good, man. All good. I'm glad you're here. Missed you in the last stream, so it's good to see coming around this stream. Yeah, happy birthday to Janine. I know her birthday, I think it's on the weekend, but since I'm not gonna be live on the weekend, I was like, I might as well. You're on your other device. Okay, alright. I'm glad you're here, man. Okay, Marvel. Okay, you guys are talking. You can still call me Marvel fan or Jay. All right, I'll call you Marvel fan because that's what I've always known you by. Let's see. At the end of episode 10, we got to see Peter's father voiced by the legendary, spectacular Spider-Man himself. Yeah, Josh Keaton. Very interesting. I do like the fact that, they are tying in a lot of the Spider-Man references, like getting Josh Keaton to voice his father. I saw something on Twitter and I thought it was really clever. If they were to do a flashback scene with Uncle Ben, they should get Christopher Barnes, who voices him in the animated series, to voice Uncle Ben. And I saw that idea and I thought that was like a really dope idea. So if we do get an Uncle Ben flashback, I think that would be cool to cast him as that. I love Scorpion's design. I do too. They did a really good job. It feels like that classic but also modern touch with Scorpion. The helmet just adds so much more to it. He was already menacing without the helmet, but the helmet just gives it much more like a menacing feel to it. So again, shout out to the character design and again the art department in terms of character design just spot on. We got to see how on earth is he in prison. Here's a crazy twist that they could do. I think the reason why Peter's father is in jail is because of Norma Osborn. I really do think that's the reason why he's in jail. I think he's some way, because we know that I think if I remember correctly, I might be wrong on it, but I know that Norman and his father did have some kind of like, were they partners or it was something that I remember reading at one point. But I do know that they crossed paths before. And I think it would be, like I said, really even more conniving to, Norman, the fact that he literally locked Peter's father up in jail. And, Peter not knowing that, but finding that out, that's going to add even more edge to when we eventually do get that Spider-Man versus Green Goblin situation. What do you like, a super soldier? Love the references. Yeah, yeah, a lot of great references in the show, and just the quippy jokes and stuff. They again, writing department. I think they did really good. I can't wait for season 2 coming. I don't know if it. I mean, it could come this year. I don't know if it will come this year. It would be dope if season 2 did come this year because we got 2 seasons in 1 year. But I feel like if it's any possibility, we'll probably see season 2 next year. I think it would be cool because then you get X-Men 97 season 2 and then you get Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man season 2 all in the same year. I think that would be pretty cool. So we might get next few years too early. Yeah, like I said, I it would be dope if we get it next year, but again, we'll have to see. I did hear that Jeff Tramiel said in an interview though that they were working on the animatics for season 2 and then season 3 was in development. So We got to figure out how far along in the animatics they are for season two, and then we can kind of put two and two together when it could possibly come out. So, if there's any more information, like I said, uh, we'll find out, and I'll be sure to let you guys know. You love the show, Marvel fan. That's awesome. I'm glad you love the show. I don't know. Norman might have different powers than any other Green Goblin. He could. I think, like I said, this show, what they do well is they twist a lot of what we know about Spider-Man and his foes, and they do it very much differently, or do it in a different way. Like Lonnie, man. Lonnie Lincoln is one of my favorite characters throughout this entire series. I love Lonnie's whole arc, and it's saddening to see him turn to Tombstone. But just that fight in episode 9 with him and Peter fighting against Scorpion, it's little moments like that is why I love comic book related things as a whole, because you can do things like that. We haven't seen a Tombstone and Spider-Man team up like that before, so it felt very fresh and new. And again, that's just a testament to the show and the writers and just everybody involved. They seem to have a vision. I mean, even down to the end, with all the things we find out where the characters are. We find out about Nico and her powers. That Peter's dead in jail. We find out about, Harry and Peter starting up the web. And then there's a whole list of characters and heroes and stuff on the board that we're potentially going to see. Daredevil and Finesse working together. Like, it was like this show had so many different post-credit scenes, and they all meshed it into one. That's what it felt like they all felt like post-credit scenes. So I appreciate them for doing that and not leaving us on into the mystery. So now we know what we could look forward to in a season 2. And even with the news with Gwen today, there's even some theories there that I would love to get into. Or if you guys have any theories about how Gwen is gonna get into the picture of all this, I'd love to hear them. I don't know. Yeah, let's see. Josh Keaton voicing the father of the new Peter Parker, Hudson Thames, is kind of like passing the torch, similar to the Jubilee voice actor with the old, yeah, with in X Men '97. Yeah, that a lot of people don't talk about that moment in X Men '97, but that was like a very endearing moment, and I love seeing stuff like that. And I think the new Jubilee actor, she does a really good job, and I think the OG voice for Jubilee, she's does a really good job too. But it's really nice to see those moments where you can have someone who did the voice in the past kind of pass that torch along. So it'd be really interesting to see when the time arises, when we potentially get like another X-Men show and maybe someone else voices Wolverine, because maybe Cal Dodd doesn't want to do it anymore. Who could voice him, and then maybe having that passing of the torch moment with him. I think that'd be really cool. Although I really like Cal Dodd. For me, when I read Wolverine, he's like the voice I hears, because I grew up on the X-Men animated series so much. So every time I read a Wolverine comic, it's him that I hear. And I guess for a lot of people, when they read Spider-Man, people hear Yuri Lowenthal, people hear Josh Keaton, people hear Christopher Barnes, people hear like so many different actors who've voiced the character throughout his landscape. And that's what's so cool about all of this. In the art of Gwen for season 2, it looked like she had a pumpkin bomb. That's a good point. I did notice that too. So I think that because Peter and Harry are off to starting their own little organization, I think Norman is gonna get mad about that. So we're gonna get that slow burn of him getting mad at Peter and Harry, of course, which means he'll probably take Harry through some things for sure. And in that, he probably said, "You know what? I don't need Peter. I got all these spiders right here." Or if it's the same spider that bit Peter in the beginning, uh, maybe he finds out about her, right? And then she becomes his little protege again, kind of the same thing, but maybe doing different things. Maybe this Gwen is very smart technical wise. Maybe she knows how to put together like little little weapons and things that she can throw and things like that. And that might be a way for him to kind of take credit for, well, I created the pumpkin bomb in a way, though technically he wasn't the one to create it, it was her. Because we already seen the glider, like we saw the glider. They made a big mention of that in episode 10, not episode 10, but at the end of episode 9. So more and more, we're getting pieces. It's like the Infinity Gauntlet. We're getting pieces of what makes Green Goblin who he is. So we got the glider, then like you mentioned, the pumpkin bomb that we're potentially going to see in the next season. So we're going to get that descent of madness from him eventually. He might be the final boss of this series as a whole, which I think would be perfect. Um, let's see, Marvel fan, you said, so what happened is on my other device, it wasn't working, so I had to get it fixed, but I had no YouTube account on my other device, so I just made one, and so yeah, I forgot my password. All good, man, I know how that is. I know how that can be. Hey, Caden, what's up, man? What's up? Just let me join again. For some reason, YouTube glitched out, but I'm back. All good, man. I know how that is with YouTube, and also with you, Marvel fan. I know how that is trying to get a new device and get your account and all that stuff. So, yeah. You said, I love Captain America Brave New World. I don't know. I don't get the hate. It really was a great movie. Yeah, we talked about that last stream, and I was kind of curious. We were asking, like, man, I wonder what Marvel fan thinks. But yeah, I thought Captain America Brave New World, it was a good movie. It's a 7.5 for me out of 10. So, again, solid movie. I had no problems with it. Man, I don't want Spider-Gwen for season 2. You said Serenity. I understand. I've actually been seeing a lot of like mixed opinions about that. I've seen a lot of people say like why Gwen or why couldn't it have been Silk or do we really need any more spider people? I've been seeing a lot of that. So to one part of it, I understand why people say that because maybe they feel like they're gonna introduce too many spider people and it's not gonna feel like a Peter Parker show. But one thing I hope with this inclusion of Gwen, there's a reason behind it, and this show still ultimately goes off of the character that introduced us to this entire universe, and that's Peter Parker. I want this to still be a Peter Parker story while also incorporating other Spider-Man elements. But again, I understand your point about Gwen. If they wanted Gwen, I heard a lot of people say if they wanted Gwen, they should have just made her without her powers. Yeah, they could have done that. But like I said, I think there's got to be some kind of concrete reason as to why she has spider abilities too now. And I think a lot of this has to do with Norman Osborn. He's the one who's causing all this, crazily enough. So we'll find out. We're gonna find out what is going on. Yeah, so by the time maybe the 26th, I'll be back to Marvel fan, but I'm not 100% sure. All good, man. Like I said, it's a process. It all takes time. Just take your time. It'll be all right. I like Josh Keaton as Peter Parker's father. Better than voicing as Norma Osborn. Definitely, the show was an 8.5 out of 10. I have a theory that season 2 is close to being finished, but the only reason they didn't say anything about it is because they want to see how season 1 was interpreted. I think so too. I think they could have easily, like, if they are, like, all the way done, I think they could have easily said, like, oh yeah, season 2 coming uh, December of 2025 or something. They could have said that. But I think what they're, like I said, I think they're going to hold off season 2 for next year. And guys, don't forget, we got D23 this year. We got some stuff for D23 with Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man last year. So best believe we're probably gonna get some updates on season 2, and as well as X-Men 97, since that is literally coming out next year. So we'll definitely get an announcement then. D23 is in August. If I might be right about that. I might be wrong about that. But I believe D23 is in August, so hopefully we'll hear some more information. My goat, Daredevil. Yeah, Daredevil in this show, man. Charlie Cox is the definitive Daredevil. He's been Daredevil in live action, he's been Daredevil in animation. Now they just need to complete the trifecta, get a Daredevil game going and have him voice Daredevil in the game. And there you go. You got the Charlie Cox Daredevil full experience right there. So hopefully we do get a Daredevil game in the future. I would love that personally. We almost got one, but it didn't work out. That company got bankrupt and the project just got scrapped. But that and it's unfortunate too because the whole plot of that game and the story, they what they were going with Frank Miller's run and stuff that they were doing with that game, it was just so interesting. There's a whole video, I forgot the channel, but there's a whole like 1 hour video that goes over what they were gonna do with that Daredevil game that was gonna come out a long time ago, but like I said, it got scrapped, the company got bankrupt, and it just didn't happen. Yeah, this is slowly becoming the best Spider-Man show. I've been seeing a lot of people say that too. I've been seeing a lot of people say that. And that's good that again we're having that conversation that this show that tells you how good this show is and also the direction of the story. You know, now that we're having conversations, people are saying like this is my favorite Spider-Man show of all time. Like there's people saying that. Um it's gonna be hard for me where I rank it because I love the '90s Spider-Man series so much, but I also love this series too. And I think what makes it so cool is that again we have these different Spider-Man shows, and you can kind of each one is very different. Like they have certain elements that feel similar but also different at the same time. I wish Daredevil got more screen time. I do too. Now, you guys remember I talked about Vincent D'Onofrio coming in as Kingpin. Now, obviously, we didn't see that, but I do think with season two or season three, we might see that because that was reported a while ago and I covered that and I thought maybe he was going to appear, but it seems like they might have held that off for maybe a future season. So we're still going to see Kingpin at some point. It's just a matter of when we're going to see him. I honestly don't think Gwen Stacy slash Spider Woman in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man 2 was too fast because Supergirl was introduced in My Adventures with Superman Season 2 and it turned out great. And that's a fair point. And I like I like Supergirl's inclusion in My Adventures with Superman. I thought her inclusion was really cool. Her and the what's his name? The reporter. You guys know who I'm talking about. Jimmy. I forgot his last name. But Jimmy, right? Like they're sitting down at the table and she's eating and they're like they have like a little thing going on. I really like that, and then just kind of like her vibe is very much different from Cal's. So again, that can make it work. It's just again, it's just a matter of where they go with the story and how it makes sense. Is there a bigger threat that we don't know about that calls for maybe her helping Peter along the way too? That's something we'll have to find out. Also, I like the girl. One of Peter's intern friends is a partner to Daredevil. Yeah, Finesse. I thought that was a really different twist. I don't know that much about Finesse. I don't know. Maybe she has worked with Daredevil before. I'm not sure. Maybe someone in the comments can kind of give me some history on Finesse if she has worked with Daredevil before. But I thought that was an interesting little dynamic, and I wonder how long has she been Finesse for? Because she did say to Daredevil, if you need me for any other stuff, I got you. So it all makes sense now to why Finesse, Jean, was trying to go into Norman's office when Peter was there and she didn't know he was there. It all makes sense now. And also Daredevil somehow getting lead way into Norman's office building. Again, it just adds more there. So she was working with Daredevil the entire time. So I wonder how long she's been working with him for. I have two theories. One is that the Spider One might be the new kid at Midtown, and like I don't know, how she would get her powers. but maybe some way, somehow, but it will be an accident. Yeah, I think it's an accident. I also think that maybe, we saw how the event started with all of this, with him getting bit. And it's one big loop when you really think about it. This whole thing about him becoming Spider-Man is all a loop story because what happened in the future is what happened to him in the present. So that's why it all goes back to what happened in the future. It's a weird loop, and it reminded me so much of Loki season 2. If you guys remember OB, he was talking about the Ouroboros loop. It's like a snake eating its tail. Well, this show and how they formatted this reminded me so much of that in Loki season 2. So his whole life story is a Ouroboros loop. So whatever happens to him in that moment is always destined to happen to him. And I think that's why he said that line when he had that conversation with Doctor Strange. He said that line of, I think it was like, anything that happens, it's destined to happen, even if it hurts, right? So I think he knows that his life, he's aware that his life may possibly be in a loop. That's just a theory, but it only makes sense because it feels like in a way maybe he was kind of familiar with what was going on, but at the same time not familiar with it. So who knows? Plus, she was the one who got the spider at the beginning of episode 1. Yeah, I mean, we saw that spider clearly crawl into someone's book bag. Now, obviously, it wasn't her, because she wasn't wearing her purple boots like she is in the art. So maybe it crawled into someone else's bag. It probably crawled out of that bag, and then it probably led it straight to her. Rather, she was at another school, or maybe she was at the mall with some friends. I don't know how they're gonna twist it. But somewhere along the way, she got bit by that spider. That's what I'm guessing. Nico and Gwen are definitely going to rumble over Peter. I could definitely see something like that. I don't want it to happen because it'll be the same cliche thing they've done before. But maybe at first she has a little bit of I could see Nico maybe having a little bit of a uncertainty with her, kind of like how she did with Peter, like with Harry. I could see maybe something like that. And then maybe over time she starts to gain a little bit of a trust with Gwen, and then maybe they become friends. I think that would be a nice change of pace because we've seen the back and forth with Gwen and MJ in the past and all that, and I don't think they really need to go back and redo all that again. We've seen that many of times. So if they do something where Nico is just simply uncertain about this Gwen Stacy, why is she in the picture all of a sudden? And then maybe over time she starts to adjust to her. Maybe there's even a conversation that they both have so they have that understanding. Imagine this. What if she's the first person to tell what if Nico tells Gwen, she's the first person that she tells? Like, I think that would be a really cool thing because, in a way, Nico does have that trust with Gwen. So I think it would be perfect if they want to save that, and maybe she still is unadamant in telling Peter about, her power. But her telling Gwen, maybe she feels a lot safer because she knows, what it's like being a girl, and having those abilities and whatnot. So, hey, welcome, okay? What's up, man? I think Gwen might be not a volunteer, but like a subject to test out the new spiders that Norma Osborn was creating. Maybe he gets back on somehow. But I think maybe he finds a way to crack that. Yeah, there's because they didn't show all those spiders for any reason at all. Like those spiders are gonna come back into the picture somehow. It's just a matter of when and how they're going to connect all those spiders to this. Because don't get it twisted. They got Peter's blood in them, I'm sure, because we saw that scene with them injecting his blood into the spiders. So I'd imagine there's more spiders with Peter's blood in them. I'm doing good, man. I'm doing really good. Can't complain. I thought it was going to snow yesterday. Luckily, it didn't snow. We didn't have any bad weather. It's all cleared up now. It's nighttime now, but I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain. I hope you're doing good, man. Or I hope you're doing good. Spider-Man and then Spider-Gwen. I think she would be used for like work, and she'll be gone. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna bring this back, and I don't want this to happen, but remember, I don't know if you guys remember, but when Peter and Norman were in that restaurant, there was a picture in the background, a big picture of a bridge. And when I saw that bridge, again, I can't help but think of Gwen. I can't help but think of Gwen Stacy because of that bridge, because that's how she went out, right? And I'm not saying that's what they're gonna do, and I'm not saying that's what I think they should do in the series. But I just think it's awfully odd that they would put that in the background of the restaurant, that big bridge there, while Peter is talking to Norman. I just think that's something maybe we could see. Maybe we could see a scene like that. Will they do it like that in the comics? I don't know. We'll have to see. But I did see a lot of people saying that. How's your day been? My day's been good. My day's been good. Mine's been amazing. Thank you for asking. Of course, of course. And the creature finding Doctor Strange, from a later in the season, in Doctor Strange, we saw this world's Doctor Strange. Yeah, I think it's really Doctor Strange is definitely one of the characters I'm very intrigued to learn more about, because obviously when Peter asked him during that conversation, he was like, "You've been to the past. Well, you've been to the future too." Like, right? So I can only imagine what things that Doctor Strange probably has witnessed. He's probably seen some things. Now, obviously, he can't say what he's witnessed, but I'm sure there's a reason why Doctor Strange had that conversation with Peter at the end. And I have a big theory. I have a very big theory coming on, right? We saw the Watcher. And you guys know I did a video talking about the Watcher, a while ago. The Watcher isn't there for no reason. Notice he's always in the same specific locations at night. It's always at night. You never see him in the daytime. It's always at night, right? Where most things happen. But what I found interesting is when Doctor Strange told him, "I can't tell you what's going to happen in the future. But what I can tell you is that you're ready." So when he said that line, "you're ready," you can interpret that many ways. Yeah, he's ready. He's Spider-Man now. He's ready to be a hero. But then also at the same time, I think about it from the perspective of, what if where did that Doctor Strange come from? What universe is he from? I want to know more about him, because is he the same Doctor Strange that we've seen in What If? Is he a other Doctor Strange that we might not have gotten introduced to yet, that maybe we'll eventually see? Like, I have that theory in my head that they're gonna try to set up maybe some big animated crossover event. I think, maybe you get Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, X-Men 97, maybe What If, maybe some other animated projects. Maybe they're trying to build that up, right? Like a big crossover event. I definitely see it happening. Also, I Am Groot. He was in I Am Groot as well. So, again, I just think there's a bigger plan to all this, because you just don't have the Watcher, though he's watching over everything, I'm sure. You just don't have the Watcher there in four different animated shows like that. Like, you just don't do that. So to me, I think there's a bigger plan with all this, but I just don't know what it is yet. But I do think it's got to be some kind of animated crossover somehow or another. I'm allergic to pumpkins, so a pumpkin bomb would kill me. Wow, me too. Okay, there's so much in common. All good, man. I'm not a fan of pumpkins. I don't like pumpkin spice. I don't. I've tried pumpkins. I don't like the taste of pumpkins, so I understand. I really want to see Scarlet Spider. I think he was like some clown of Peter, some clone of Peter, or something, because he was in Ultimate Spider-Man, and I want to see him in a Spider-Man show. I mean, we could, if they ever get to a point where they do like a multiversal Spider-Verse thing, like a Spider-Verse event, right? I'm sure we'll see Ben Riley there. We'll see him there. We'll see Miles there. We'll see a bunch of others. But, honestly, I don't think they really need to focus on that right now. I think they need to focus on what they have. But provided if they do something like that in the future, maybe they want to do a Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man movie where it's, Peter learning more about the other Spider-Man. Maybe they could do something like that. I don't know, but I think they just need to focus on what they have right now, because I don't want the show to become too convoluted, and there's so much going on that it just doesn't feel like that they're not going to. Although I feel like with season one, I think they did a really good job with pacing the characters. Now, granted, you could say some characters didn't get as much screen time as others, but I think the characters that they needed to focus on, they focused on those, and I'm sure the other characters that we probably didn't get much of, we'll probably get more of in potential further seasons. So, yeah. The spider that bit Peter Parker hitched a ride on an unknown midtown high school high school's bag. That could have been Gwen. Yeah, that could have been. Maybe she changed her outfit because, like I said, I tried looking back at the footage of that, and I think the person had on like red shoes. So maybe she had on a different outfit at that time. So that could be a thing. And then maybe because of the spider bite, maybe she changed her outfit or something. I don't know. But it did seem a little. I still think, yeah, that spider is definitely involved. And I definitely think that's the reason why we're getting Gwen, is because of that same spider. Captain America for me was at 8.9 out of 10. Really loved it. That's awesome, man. Like I said, it was a really good. I thought it was really good. It was a really enjoyable film. I think it's overhated. It's gotten a lot of hate. And I personally don't see why. For some obvious reasons, I see why, but for other reasons, it's kind of like, did we watch the same movie? So yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I wonder what the gas was made for. Maybe so Oscorp can make super soldiers. There's definitely something with that, because with Tombstone, like with Lonnie, right? Like the stuff falls onto the floor and it breaks. And then he starts coughing, and that's when we get that whole thing with Tombstone at first. And I like that they didn't just, they could have easily made him his skin bleached out with the super strength. They easily could have done that, but they didn't. So I definitely think like over season two, we're gonna see his skin change. We're gonna see probably get more stronger as the season progresses. I don't think Lonnie at that moment, like, yeah, he was strong at that moment, but I don't think he's as strong as he probably will get further down in the show. Kind of like how Peter right now, like, he's got his spider enhancements, but he doesn't have it to the full extent. Like, with the Scorpion fight, you could kind of see they were teasing the Spidey sense, but he doesn't have all of his Spidey sense. And even down to his strength, right? Like, even down to his strength, I still feel like over time they're gonna build Peter getting more and more stronger, more and more agile as time goes on. So I think it's nice. It kind of shows like it's not like an instantaneous thing. There's kind of some realism to it a little bit, because if in real life, I don't think personally you would be able, if you were bitten by a radioactive spider, I don't think you would easily get all your abilities. Now, maybe you could, maybe that's a possibility, but I think in real life, I feel like it's something that slowly over time you start to gain. And I think it'll add so much more nuance and substance to the moment. Finally, see him use his Spidey sense to the full extent, it's gonna feel real because we remember when he hardly had any Spidey sense, but now he does have Spidey sense. So again, it gives us that opportunity to grow with the Spider-Man. And I'm really, really curious. Like, are we gonna see Peter aged up? Because I feel like Gwen, to me, Gwen looks like she's been aged up. So to me, I feel like it would only make sense for Peter to be taller. Maybe he got rid of the glasses. Maybe his outfit's different. Like I think it would make sense for him to, have a different outfit, different hairstyle each season to just continue his growth as the Spider-Man, but also as Peter Parker. So hopefully we do see that. What's exactly too fast is how everyone is going back to hating the show. They haven't even learned a thing. Insomniac, Peter, Miles, and Sydney didn't have any complaints. Yeah, I think why, and I think I'm gonna add a little bit context to maybe why I think people are mad. I don't think I agree with it, but I do think people feel like the Spider Verse stuff is now being shoved into everything Spider Man related. I think that's why people feel that way. To my honest opinion, I don't feel that way personally because to me, it still feels like a new, fresh concept. And it can be done in many different ways. Like this show will probably, like I said, it'll definitely do Gwen much differently than what we've had before. And to the point of, someone was like, oh, we don't have any civilians in the show. I'm like, we literally seen civilians throughout this show. We saw Peter interacting with the pizza man in the first episode. So we definitely see him interacting with civilians. I just think that, again, over time, we'll see him have more interactions with civilians and stuff because this is your friendly neighborhood Spider Man. And to continue that vibe of that, it would only make sense to keep more of the neighborhood involved with this show. I don't think it's gonna go multiversal. I don't think it's gonna go all this. Now, like I said, granted, with the Watcher being in play, I do think that Spider-Man will potentially be in some kind of animated, I don't know, Secret Wars or some kind of big event down the road. I think that's a possibility. But as far as like the multiversal stuff, I think they'll touch it a little bit, but I think they want to keep the street level. And I think it's best that they keep the street level, even down to the Doc Ock situation. Like, Rhino, right? Like I said, Rhino literally said, the next time I get out of jail and if I see you, it's on site. I don't think you just put that line in there just for them not to show Rhino again. Like we're gonna see Rhino again. We're gonna see Chameleon and like actually get used and all these things like I'm sure it's gonna happen. Again, it's just a matter of time, I think. And we might see Miles Morales. Maybe Norman creates another spider out of that spider, but in different features. They can make this Miles Lightning abilities better than the video games. Potentially, like I said, my only problem, my only problem, is that I don't want them to do too much. I don't want them to add, a whole bunch of spider people and then now it's kind of like not Peter's show anymore. Like to me, I feel like this is Peter's show. And I'm sure over time we'll probably get other heroes and other spider people. But I want this to be Peter's show because he's the main focus. So again, if they have a way to maybe incorporate some of the Spider-Man lore from other characters in a different way, I think it'll work. But again, it's all just a matter of the story and what plans they have for it. But if so, if they do introduce Miles, I need to see his sword. I that's something we haven't gotten. I thought maybe in Spider-Man 2 they were going to have him get his sword, but it didn't happen. So I would love to see them incorporate Miles' sword in this show because I think that's one of the coolest powers that he has, and we still haven't gotten it in any form of visual media. We've obviously gotten it in comic books. If you've read Miles Morales comics, we have, but as far as like the movies or the cartoons and stuff, we haven't. The only time they care about other Spider people or the Spider Verse is when the concept is used to bring back three actors of the live action version, their villains from the old movies. Well, I don't know because they're. I mean, Spider Man the animated series, and this is before the concept of the Spider Verse, right? Like we had that whole crossover episodes with all the Spider Men. Then I'm sure we had it in what Ultimate Spider-Man. We had it in that. We had it in Marvel's Spider-Man 2017. I didn't watch that show really, but I know they had some concepts of it. So I mean, the Spider Verse. I mean, obviously into and across. So we've had the concept of the Spider Verse even down to the comics for years now. But I think it still feels like a fresh idea because it's been done, but it hasn't really been done to where it feels like tirelessly familiar. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. For me, it doesn't feel tirelessly familiar. The fact that the show has done a great job at subverting expectations with the writing and made something very special. Yeah, all down to the writing again. Jeff Trammell and his team just doing a great job with the storytelling and just giving you a suspense of your belief. When you think something is going to happen this way because you read it in a comic and then you find out, oh, they did it this way. Oh, dang, that makes sense. Now that adds up. Now I know why that happened, right? Like it just adds more context in this universe. Norma Osborn. Yeah, Norma Osborn. Exact. Yeah, you guys are talking. We saw the Watcher in episode 10. We did. And like I said, he's appeared in What If, I Am Groot, X-Men 97, and now you're feeling Neighborhood Spider-Man. That's why I say the Watcher has a bigger plan, and I really do think they are trying to set up some kind of animated crossover event. And I don't know if I mentioned this, maybe I did in one of my older videos. Either it was my X-Men 97 video or my Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man video. One of the videos I did, Lenore Zan, who voices Rogue from X-Men 97, she mentioned that she would love to do a crossover with Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. She was talking with Jeff Trammell and stuff like that. She posted it on her Instagram a while back. Like I said, I got to figure out what video that was in, but it seemed like they might have had that idea in mind. So who knows? Maybe we might get this big crossover event. Who knows? We don't know the plan to Secret Wars. Maybe they can introduce animated characters in Secret Wars. Maybe that's the big plan. We don't know what direction this could go in. So there's a lot of different avenues they could take. Big Donovan ran away. I'm so mad. Yeah, it would be funny. It would be funny if Big Donovan became a lawyer. It would be so funny, but so uncue to his comics. You know how he is in the comics because he's like a street thug, but then he becomes Luke Cage's lawyer. So it would be so funny if in a future season we saw like a billboard and it's like Big Donovan or Donovan's law firm or something like that, right? Like it would be so funny. Because then, who knows? Maybe you could set up a Luke Cage in this universe. Because Brad Winterbaum recently did an interview. They're kind of on the Daredevil train right now. They were talking about maybe potentially bringing back like a Luke Cage, a Jessica Jones, and those characters, right? So if they do have plans of bringing those characters back, I would not be surprised if we see like a Jessica Jones or I mean, they had the concept before Nico of having Jessica Jones be Peter's friend, which Peter and Jessica Jones were the same age in the comics, so they could maybe loop that back around. Maybe have her working with Peter on a mission somehow. So I don't know. Like I said, there's so many things they could do with this show, and that's why the possibilities are endless, and that's why I see why Marvel greenlit two more seasons, and I think it's going to be greenlit even more, depending upon the direction of how the series goes which I'm hoping the direction of the series continues to go as good as it has been going. I want, future seasons to be as good as this one, if not better than this season. Progressively just get better and better. So if they do, I could see the show maybe going a good 6 to 7 to, who knows, potentially 10 seasons. I just think that would be really amazing. I would love to see it. It's just a matter of, like I said, the direction and the reception that people have for the show. Daredevil daring his devil into his level, with his Daryl. You're rapping, I see. I see you're rapping. It's not hard to rank it. You just say you like Spider-Man. Yeah, I like Spider-Man. I like Spider-Man. He's my all-time favorite hero, like all time. Talking Marvel and DC. Obviously, you guys know I love the X-Men. The X-Men, those are my bread and butter too. Daredevil, Black Panther, T'Challa. Y'all know I love T'Challa. Um, who else? Blade, Midnight Suns, that whole team. I'm with all different kinds of characters in Marvel and just DC. But like I said, like if Doctor Strange as well, I can't forget Doctor Strange. Love me some Doctor Strange, man. This series more and more. I want to see a Doctor Strange animated series. I really do. So if they do like a Doctor Strange animated series, best believe I will be so happy. I will be so happy when that day comes. She's the daughter of Taskmaster. Yeah, finesses. I completely forgot about that. I completely forgot about that when researching. So when you just brought it up just now, that made me think about maybe Taskmaster. He could probably show up in here at some point. This past episode is the best yet. Yeah, I loved episode 10. I wish I could have recorded my reaction to the episode when I watched it, because I jumped out of my seat so many times, especially towards the end. I jumped out of my seat so much, especially with the Peter's dad. I jumped out of my seat and I walked out of my room, and I walked back and forth to myself and I said, "Did they really just do that? No way they just did this. Ain't no way they just did this." Like, I just sat there for like 5 minutes and just said to myself, "They're really doing this. They're really doing this." So I am really curious about what they're going to do with Peter's dad. How is he going to come into the picture now? How is that going to affect his Peter? How is that going to affect him learning the great power equals great responsibility? Is he going to get that from his dad now? Because, again, I think that would be a nice way to maybe tie it back to, because, I mean, he got great respect, but maybe he gets the great, responsibility line from his dad. Maybe we get something like that. Who knows? Like I said, so many directions this series could go in. Do you think Norma is going to get different powers? I think so. I think he might get a mix of, the goblin powers, but also, what if he gets a mix of spider powers? Like, imagine a green goblin that not only has the power of the goblin, but the power of the spider. Like, that would be insane. That would be really insane. But also a twist that they've never done before. So, I would be down with it. I just came back. I didn't know if you answered all my questions. Now I'm just looking at the comments and seeing what you guys are saying. But I answered your question. Um, but I could see, like, Peter maybe something like beating Peter down. Norman killing him by an accident, and Harry steps up and takes the Goblin Serum and becomes the new Goblin, something like that. Sam Raimi, but better. I could see that. I could see that. I definitely think maybe Harry might become. If he's not Green Goblin, I definitely see Harry becoming Hobgoblin. But then we got Ned Leeds on the board, which, if they wanted to go that route with Ned Leeds being Hobgoblin, they could do that too. But I don't know. I don't know. I think it would make more sense for Harry to be Hobgoblin, If they, like I said, if they go that route, we'll have to see. Edwin, what's up? You said, what if Gwen's dad was the one to put Richard Parker in prison? Imagine that Peter's cool with Gwen but doesn't know about this history. See, there's something there. You're onto something there because then it all makes sense. It all adds more context to even down to like Gwen, like down to her story because we obviously know what happens to her father. Now, granted, if they're gonna do that with her father, we don't even know if her father's alive. Her father could be dead, just like Uncle Ben is. They could maybe do something like that, like they did with Peter, right? So maybe she learns her own way of being Spider Girl or Ghost Spider in her own way, kind of like how Peter did in this series. So again, there, that is an interesting theory and thought. I could see Captain Stacy maybe being the one to put his father behind bars, but I think to me it would make the most sense to have uh, Norma Osborn be the one to be at fault for his father, because I think it would just add an even more twisted thing of I've been your father figure more than your father has, and you're gonna go against me over your real dad who never bothered to even call you, never even bothered to talk to you. He could try to maybe get into Peter's head with that when they have that fight. So that could be a way of Norman just showing more and more his villainous, menacing, sadistic side. The fact that he would go so low as to hit below the belt when it comes to Peter's father. What if Peter was bleeding and Scorpion stabbed him? Norma Osborn took some of that blood when he was bleeding, and Peter did now, and that's how he's using it to do those things with the spider. I think that's exactly what happened. Because again, remember in episode 9, at the end of episode 9, they showed off that. I went down. I think the okay, people were in, but they were going down. But I think what they'll do, because we saw at the end of episode 9 where he pretty much essentially took the blood. Like we knew he took the blood when he got mauled by a scorpion, and we saw the nurse take the blood, and then we saw them mention it again at the end of episode 9 when he asked Whitman, which I still think there's something with Whitman. Like I know we haven't gotten like a whole full on reveal, but obviously that's the wizard. Bentley Whitman is the wizard. So are the Fantastic Four gonna get involved? Because he's a Fantastic Four villain. So there's so much with that with Bentley Whitman that we don't know about. But with that second experiment he was doing for Norman, we saw them inject Peter's blood into those spiders. And that's what caused that Ouroboros loop, like I mentioned, kind of like Loki season 2, right? That Ouroboros loop where with Doctor Strange and that symbiote creature that we saw going down into that portal and pretty much giving us the same events that happened when we first met Peter in the first episode. So I think, like I said, I think there is a continuous loop, but the story might be different. So maybe next time that Peter might actually become someone else. Maybe that other Peter is uh maybe did something completely different than the other Peter did. So maybe there's a whole wide tree of different Peters that all come from that same event but just have a different outcomes and different choices that they make. I think from the art shown, Gwen doesn't make her own web shoots, but the web bombs. That would be a different change in pace, because that now we'd have to understand like, okay, her skill set is different. So unlike Peter, who he's pretty much got his webs naturally, she's gonna have her webs naturally too, but I think she's gonna be more of a techie type person. Like she could be someone like you said. Maybe she throws web bombs. Maybe she, because we saw her belt. Like she has a little utility belt on her suit. So she's definitely going to be someone who's more on the techie side of things when it comes to being Spider-Gwen. So I hope they dive into her being a more tech savvy than Peter is. Zoe and Giron, I think Peter, he's more of like a scientific, he's scientific techie. But her, she's more of a techie. She might be more into that side of it, which that's probably something Osborn needs. Um, all right now, I got spider phobia, phonia. All this talk about spiders is getting me itsy. All good, man. I don't know why I'm scared of spiders, but love Spider-Man. Hey, that's the ironic thing about it, right? We don't want to get bit by a spider, but it's amazing to see Peter get bit by a spider every time we see it or read it. So it's just a testament to how crazy the mind works. So yeah. Same with Batman, right? Like nobody wants to be around a bunch of bats. Bats are very crazy. Uh, but whenever we see Batman in that bat suit, it's just like I want to be Batman. So it's amazing how these fictional characters can skew our minds into imagining the things that we definitely wouldn't do in real life, at least. Anthony, what's up, man? How are you doing? I'm doing good, man. I'm doing really good. I hope you're doing good. What did you think of the finale for Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man? I would love to hear what you think. Dawson, what's up, man? Really love the finale and the season as a whole. The fight with Scorpion was great, and I was really surprised at how everything became full circle with that twist in the finale. Yeah, like I said, I mentioned it before, but again, Peter's life is like a Ouroboros loop. It's just an ever constant loop. His future is his present, and his present is his future. So it's gonna continue that loop more and more because of Norman Osborn. He's the one that caused all of this. So technically, you could say that Norman Osborn is technically credited to be the reason why Peter got bit in the first place. So now when he says that line, great power comes great respect, it adds an even more thicker layer for Norman, knowing now that he's the one that caused all this in the first place. We might see a version of Ben Riley in this universe as a successful test subject of one of the spiders Norman's made. I can definitely see that. I thought about that a long time ago. Like I was like, what if they do Ben Riley? What if they do his brother, a clone brother? But I don't know how that would work. I don't know how that will work, and I don't know how they would do it in such a way that makes sense. Because the whole clone saga thing, it gets very messy. It gets very messy. So I don't know how they would be able to do that. The coming multiverse war against Doom, and this Spider-Man might join a multiversal Avengers team. I said might. Yeah, like I said, I think that's a great theory because again, the Watcher showing up in all these projects, and we have still yet to have seen the Watcher in any of the live action projects. But I think this would be a great time for Marvel to capitalize off of the Watcher and maybe having him show in. I think it would have been cool just as a little brief moment, right? You could have had him show up in Captain America Brave New World, right? Maybe during you don't have to show him in full, but maybe like a silhouette of him, looking down at Sam after the fight with him and Red Hulk, right? You could maybe have him show up, in a crazy scene in the Thunderbolts. Maybe Fantastic Four. Maybe he's there before, their world gets eaten apart by Galactus. Like, I think it's time that if they want to really connect all of this stuff together, I think The Watcher is the perfect opportunity for them to connect all this because then now people will start putting two and two together. Okay, we've seen The Watcher in live action. We've seen The Watcher in animation now. Now we know what's going on. They're going to be in Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars or whichever one. I think it's going to be Secret Wars. So that's why I still feel like this Watcher is going to be assembling a team of heroes from this animated side of things. And either they're going to have their own crossover event, or they're going to lead them into Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. Like, that's just a theory of mine. I don't know anything, I don't know anybody. That's just a theory I've had, been thinking about it for a while. So, again, that would be a good way to kind of tie even the animated projects into this wider universe that they are clearly trying to build. Even the games, maybe they can get the games involved. Like I said, I don't know how, as far as like, obviously Insomniac Spider-Man, maybe they could show up. Maybe they could have I don't know, like that. It just seems like they do have a plan that they want to include like animation and games. So again, we saw Insomniac Spider-Man and Across the Spider-Verse, so it is possible. It is very possible. And maybe the spider a bit more people than just the girl. What if half of the school are spider kids? Oh man, that would be wild. That would be wild. I don't think they need to do that. I think it would be too like that would be too crazy. That would be way too crazy. So I don't think they need to do anything like that. But just as a what if scenario, what if they all turned into spider kids, right? You have this spider invasion going on. What if, Norman does something very sinister where he starts weaponizing these like people who maybe do get the spider abilities? What if he uses them in the war? Maybe he gets involved with the Sokovia Accords, if it's still going on, which it seems like it might be still going on in season two. We'll have to find out. But what I really want to see personally, and I said this on many streams, what I really want to see personally is a what if scenario. What if the other half got blipped, right? So you have Spider Man, you have T'Challa, you have all these other characters that didn't get blipped. If they want to include the events of Thanos and things like that, have Spider Man survive during the blip. Because people have always wanted to know what happened during that time during the blip. And I think this would be a really cool if this show could explore and expand on that concept, because that's something people have wanted to see, and I think that would give them that opportunity to say, "Hey, you wanted to know what happened during the blip. This is our idea of what would happen during the blip, and how it would happen, and why it would happen." Vic Star, what's up, man? Uh, or wait, man. I keep saying man for some reason. I don't know why I keep doing that. What's up, Vic? I hope you're doing good. Looks like you do art. Lightning Lincoln getting that strength definitely could have used enough. Could have yes, could have used good in football, for sure. If only he had decided to say, you know what, I'm done with the 110th Street gang. I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to go back to be a football player. He would be the coolest football player ever. There would be no denying he would definitely go to the NFL, or I'm sure the NFL exists in Marvel. Unless they call it something else. They probably call it the Football League National or some. I don't know. I don't know what they would call it in Marvel, but the NFL I think is canon to Marvel because they've done a couple NFL Marvel comics. There was the Spider-Man one, or not Spider-Man one, but there was one with the NFL player that got powers and he became like this very strong creature. There's a reference to that. The coach is actually a reference to that comic, his name. So if they wanted to, they could include that. But yeah, Lion Lincoln would definitely be the coldest football player of all time, for sure. But when Peter finds out his dad's in prison, he's going to crash out because May lied to him. And remember last stream we talked about this. I said Aunt May is definitely hiding something. Because to me, every time you look at her, Like when she looks at Peter, like you can tell she's putting on this smiling face. But it felt to me like there was definitely something Aunt May, she has a secret, either she was sick or there was something else going on with her. And I think this show did a really good job of kind of adding more context as to why she was acting certain ways in certain scenes if you like really look back at it. And now we know why, because Peter's father is literally in prison and she hasn't told him. So even down to Peter, right? Like Peter telling Nico no more secrets, right? So it's ironic because when you think about it, all the people surrounding Peter, they have their own secrets. Aunt May with Peter's dad, Nico and her powers not telling Peter about it. So there's still a lot of secrets that they have, but he's told his biggest secret, right? So now it's going to be a question of will they tell their secrets or will they still keep them hidden, you know? Will Peter feel upset about that because he literally told everybody that he cared about his biggest secret, rather he wanted it to get out or not. He still told it, but will they do the same? You think Sandman will appear in season 2? I think that would be cool. See, you get Sandman. Hey, give us Hydro Man. If you want to do what they did in the comics, you want to mix Sandman with Hydro Man and give us Mudman. Hey, I'm here for it. If they want to do that, I don't think they will, but I think that would be really cool because we got a reference of Hydro Man in Spider-Man 2, but we didn't see Hydro Man. Now, obviously, we saw Sandman. He was in the beginning of the fight for Spider-Man 2. But I don't think we've really. I'm sure we've seen Hydro Man in a few animated projects before, but imagine a team up with Sandman and Hydro Man. How crazy that would go. Um, and that's a fight for two Spider-Men. Well, Spider people, I should say. So maybe. I've said it before, but who I'm hoping for is Craven. I would love to see Craven in a future season. Because I think there's just so much you can do with Craven the Hunter. Especially with Chameleon, that's his half brother. Like, you could do. There's a story in itself you can do with Craven. So hopefully we get Craven the Hunter in a future season. Because I would just love to see the design of how they implement that too. Yeah, Rhino said, if I see you, I'm going to beat on you. Yeah, like Rhino said, like if I see you when I get out of jail, it's on sight. And I really believe that. I really believe he means business. So he spared Spider-Man. But he told Spider-Man, I ain't gonna spare you the next time. Nico might get kidnapped in season 2. I mean, possibly. Maybe her father and mother do. I do know, like, Nico's mother and father, they're, like, very bad people, from what I've heard. And she did try to reach out to her mother, which I don't know if you guys have this, like, comparison, but Nico reminds me so much of Raven from Teen Titans because, you know, down to the parent aspect of the power that they have kind of comes from their like relative, right? Like Raven's power comes from her father Trigon. And then here it's kind of like she gets her power from either her mother or her father. It could be both. You know, when she's talking, you know, doing the ritual with the necklace. So I just automatically thought about Raven when I seen that scene and she's doing the little, you know, powers and her ritual and whatnot. You know, I guess trying to communicate with her parents. I hope Rhino's suit is similar to the Spider-Man game suit. I could see a mix of that and then the classic like Rhino suit, like the actual leather Rhino suit with the big Rhino horn. I could definitely see them going that route in the design, since this is like a mix of that Ditko Ramita, you know, senior era. That I could definitely see them doing a mix. Mishio, what's up? Thoughts on the Spider-Man new animated series? I love it. I love the new animated series. Like I said, I thought it was a really good. Really enjoyed just the character dynamics, the storytelling, the art. Love just there's so much about this show that I enjoy, and like I said, as someone who covered the show since it was announced, I just always had a good feeling about the show. Like, I seriously, I say it all the time, but I genuinely felt like X-Men 97 and Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which it was called, Spider-Man freshman year at the time. But I just genuinely had a feeling like those two projects, if anything, are gonna knock it out the park. And just seeing now the reception and how at first people were hated on this show and said this was going to be the worst Spider-Man show of all time and all of this stuff, right? And then to see the change in tune from these same people now appraising the show and loving the show and excited for season 2, it's just like I say it all the time. You got to let stuff play out. You got to trust the process cuz you never know. You never know what's going to happen. So for me, I never wanted to have this whole thing. Now, was I nervous and adamant about certain things? Yes, I was an adamant about certain characters. How come we got these certain characters? But then after a while, I thought about it. There's a reasoning as to why these characters are involved with this story, and I just need to let it play out. So when I had that mindset, I wanted to have that mindset in my videos. Like I said, it's easy to bash things. It's easy to make 1,001 videos about why I hate the Spider-Man show and why the trailers suck and why they added the rap music, it's corporate rap and all this stuff that people were saying about this show. It's easy to make videos like that. But I wanted to be someone who could give updates, accurate stuff. I didn't get everything right. I definitely didn't get everything right when it came to reporting stuff. But as much as I could get, it seemed like it did happen. So for the most part, I'm happy about that. So I want to continue, even in season 2, I want to continue that. I want to give you as much accurate information from the source as I can to kind of keep that misconception and that misinformation from, messing with people because I'm sure even if my videos would have gotten like 100,000 views, right? I think a lot more people would have been a lot more aware of why certain characters were in this series, and if Charlie Cox was actually voicing Daredevil, and all these things that I mentioned and stuff and talked about throughout the whole run. I think a lot more people would have known a lot more about it. But like I said, I'm not new rock stars level. I'm not all these bigger channels that have definitely come before me. I don't have the viewers and the status like they do. If I did, I think, like I said, all this misinformation about the show before even seeing one episode of it, I don't think it would have been I don't think it would have been as bad, but I'm not gonna complain about it. I'm happy, and just everybody who has been on this journey with me, and I'm sure a lot of you who have been in these streams came through my Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man videos. Maybe it was my X-Men 97 videos that maybe got you onto my channel. Whatever it was that got you here, I'm just happy that you guys are here. I'm happy that we were able to experience this show and the magnitude that this show has, and just to see it feels a payoff. Like it feels like a big payoff to me and a big payoff to just us, because we knew there was something going on with the show. Like we knew this show was gonna go somewhere. We just didn't know where it was gonna go. But now seeing where it went and where it's possibly going to go, it just makes me happy. It makes me the happiest guy in the world to know something that I discussed for 3 years, and it feels like it's not all for just, and not say that it's all for nothing, but just it feels rewarded. It feels rewarding. So it's all a thank you to you guys, really. Like I said, it's all thank you to you guys. But to answer your question, Maceo, because went on a whole ramble. But yes, I really enjoyed Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and I'm really excited to see where the show goes next. Bro, you look like a pineapple after a car crash. It's called hair. What do y'all expect, man? It's my hair. You can make all the jokes you want. Hair is not changing. Thoughts on the Ultimate Spider-Man TV show and the 2017? Ultimate Spider-Man, I feel like Ultimate Spider-Man is definitely overhated. I don't think it's the worst Spider-Man show. I think it's in an in-between place where there were some interesting things, but also at the same time, it doesn't feel like a Peter Parker show. It feels like a team up show. Teaming up with Spider-Man is what they probably should have called it, in my honest opinion, because that's what the majority of that show was. You had Luke Cage, you had, White Tiger, Iron Fist, you had all those characters, right? But it didn't feel like a Peter Parker show. This is where things are different with this show. What they were able to do so well is that it is a Peter Parker show. It is a Peter Parker story, and you see that through the development of each episode. But then we get these little subplots with other characters like a Lonnie Lincoln, like a Harry Osborn, like a Norma Osborn, like a Nico Monaro. You get all of that, right? So it fits very well into the pacing of the show. I think Ultimate Spider-Man, one of its biggest problems is its pacing. The pacing for some episodes was just not good in my opinion, and I think that's one of the reasons why I think Ultimate Spider-Man suffered so much is because the pacing, the story, and again, it just not feeling like a Peter Parker story. Felt like more Marvel team up than anything else. And in 2017, I think 2017 has that same problem too. When you're trying to have all of these characters, but then you're trying to subline them into everything, and not really let Peter have his shine as an individual show. I think that's when it becomes a problem. But like I said, what Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man does, it takes those weaknesses that a Ultimate Spider-Man did, that a Marvel's Spider-Man 2017 did, and it takes those weaknesses and it makes them their strength. And I think it worked really well for this show. Would Tombstone from Spectacular Spider-Man would stop Peter from killing Scorpion? I'm not really sure. Like I said, I've seen like one or two episodes of Spectacular Spider-Man, but I haven't seen the entire show. But I know it's like a very beloved show, like in the Spider-Man realm of things. Like I know that, but I just haven't had the time to watch it. I've watched I have so many things that I'm watching. Like right now, I'm rewatching Daredevil for Daredevil Born Again. Watching Invincible. I'm watching a lot of stuff right now that I just haven't had the time to just like fully, watch Spectacular Spider-Man. But maybe I will. Maybe I will eventually. I think in season two, before they team up, Spider-Man is going to run it back with Daredevil, and say, "I brought a friend with me." Gwen is going to fight. You imagine that a 2-on-1 Gwen versus Daredevil, Gwen versus Daredevil versus Peter. Imagine that. I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna do that, but I mean, it would be interesting. It would be kind of like a funny thing, where Peter's like, "You might have beat me the first time, but you see, there's power in numbers." And then just they both get beat by Daredevil again. I think that would just be so funny. But I think the reason why, looking back at it in hindsight, I think the reason why that Peter, why he lost to Daredevil is because again he doesn't have all of his abilities. Now, granted, he had his full abilities of his spider sense, and his strength and his agility, even more of his agility, I think he would have won that battle. But because Daredevil, it seemed like Daredevil is definitely experienced, it felt like he knew how to tackle the situation. And again, when you have an experienced fighter over a not so experienced fighter, 9 times out of 10, the experienced fighter is going to win. So I think it was a given that Daredevil will win. But I believe if Daredevil and Peter were going to run it back, I think Peter would win that fight because I think at that point he would have his spidey senses, he would have the agility, he would have the strength, so he would be able to beat Daredevil that time. Wait, Gwen is. Wait, no. No, Gwen is not the daughter of Taskmaster. Gwen is the daughter of Captain Stacy. Finesse, Jean Folcott, she is the daughter of Taskmaster. Yo, but the fight at the end, peak, definitely one of the best Marvel fights I've seen. One of the best Marvel fights in Marvel history. Yeah, that team up with him and Doctor Strange, I love that fight. I love that fight. And again, there's things that Doctor Strange did that we haven't seen at all in the MCU that I would love to see. And I just think that Doctor Strange, like I love Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange, but for some reason that version of Doctor Strange, there's just a mystery around him. There's like a different kind of mystery. Like it's almost as if you wanted to hop in that portal with him and find out what exactly is he dealing with. What adventures has he gone on? So that's why I say I hope Marvel sees this and we get like a Doctor Strange animated series because there's so much you can explore in the world of Doctor Strange that you don't like this show. You don't need to connect it to the MCU. If you want to have little MCU references here and there, that's fine. But you could really go into the Doctor Strange lore of things with the animated series that you really can't do with live action. Do you think the Beyonder will be in the MCU, but will he be as powerful as in the comics? I mean, he's the second to the one above all. I think so. I think we could see the Beyonder. Maybe in Secret Wars, if they want to introduce him there, maybe. Um, that even brings up the point. Could we see the Living Tribunal? Is that something we could see? I don't think they're going to do that, but I think it would be interesting if maybe, say, like a Living Tribunal maybe got involved, even with the Beyonder situation. So who knows? I hope he's as powerful as he is in the comics, but we'll have to see. You know how the MCU is. They don't always take everything verbatim from the comics. You know they're going to do their little spin on it, so we'll have to see. And Norman did find a piece of Venom looking guy referencing Venom possibly. Yeah, that's another thing. We got the symbiote. So we could get a symbiote arc. Are they gonna do it in season 2? Or are they gonna do it in season 3? That's something we'll have to find out. But I think with the symbiote, I think they shouldn't do it in season 2. I think they should hold off. Make that a slow burn. Because now we could jump back to Norman. And he's discovering this symbiote now. Kind of like how they did with Spider-Man 2. They could do something like that where Norman is like making, doing these tests and experiments on the symbiote. And then maybe in season 3 we get like symbiote, Peter, Spider-Man, which could also build up into that whole thing even more because what if there's a fight with Green Goblin and symbiote Spider-Man? How would that go? They could do that. So, like I said, there's just so many different avenues that can go with this show. You guys are bringing up good points. But what if Norman is the reason why Peter's father is in prison? Maybe they can be setting up something. He goes to Doc Ock and says, when I get out of here, I'm trying to get my revenge on Osborn. I definitely feel with Doc Ock planning out that whole thing with his arms, we're definitely going to see him try to get his revenge on Norman. Now, will they have a fight? Will one of them die? It's possible, but there's definitely some animosity there. There's definitely some hate there. And most importantly, there's definitely some ego there. They both have very strong egos when it comes to each other. Just that scene with them talking to each other in prison. And Norman Osborn, he can't even bother to touch the jail phone. He has a piece of like paper towel or like a handkerchief or something. He literally uses it while he's on the phone with Norman. I mean, on the phone with Otto, right? Like we saw that. And then the way he was talking to Otto too, like, yeah, all your inventions, that's my stuff now. That's mine. You ain't getting that back. But then Otto coming back with, see, Norman, you've always been that same egotistical maniac I've always knew since we've been partners. I I am Dr. Otto Octavius. You don't know who I am. I'm one of the smartest people alive. It would take one of me and 12 of you to ever have the brains that I have. Like that conversation, that back and forth that they had, that's a lot of ego. That's a lot of ego from both ends. So you know they both want to get that run in on each other. It's just a matter of when will we see it. Emmett, what's up, man? What are your predictions or things that you want to see in season two for your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man? For me, for season two, I would love to see just the story progress. Like, I want to learn more about Nico. I want to learn, have some development with Peter, like even more of a development. Has he grown? Has he gotten taller? Has he lost the glasses? Does he have a new hairstyle? Just maturity wise, is he, a bit different, from the last time we've seen him? I would love to see some more classic villains come into the play. Obviously we have some that are in jail right now, some that are out of jail. Like I said, we got Chameleon, we have Rhino, Scorpion. That's not going to be the last time we see Scorpion. Scorpion is definitely going to try to get his run back on Spider-Man, so I can already see a rematch there. Obviously, Doc Ock, we're going to find out more about him, so are they going to do a thing where maybe Doc Ock tries to help Peter out until he finds out that Doc Ock isn't what he seems to be? Are they going to do something like that since now that Peter has this uncertainty and now distrust for Norma Osborn? Will that be into play? That's something I'd like to see. Gwen, that interaction with Gwen and Peter. What's their story? Are they friends? Are they Spidey accomplices? Is love in the air? I don't think so. I think Peter is more interested in Nico than anything. And they're setting it up that way. Even though they kind of did that thing where Pearl knew, kind of that thing where Peter called his name and he was like, oh, Pearl knows my name. But I still think Nico and Peter, to me, they feel like the in-game couple, in my honest opinion. I think they're going to do something differently this time. So I think explore more of Peter and Nico's bond relationship. I want some backstory on Gwen. I definitely need to know how this all happened with her. Did she get bitten by the same spider that we saw in the first episode? Was it a new spider? What's her home situation like? Is her dad dead? Already dead in this series? Is he alive? Uh, is her mom alive? Things like that. Like I want to know just all the different story elements with each character. Lonnie, I need to know more about him. Are we gonna see him descend into madness and become the Tombstone, like the legit Tombstone? We already see his skin bleaching. We already know his strength. How much stronger is he gonna get? I need to know about that. I need to know about the finesse and Daredevil thing. How is that gonna come back into play? You know, who else are they gonna go after? Um, like I said, some more villains like Craven. Like I said, I would love to see Craven the Hunter. show up. If not season 2, maybe season 3. Um, just more characters, but also more story to the point where the story is just like there's always something going on, right? And it all makes sense as to why it's all happening. So I think that's what I want for season 2. But what about you, Emmett? What do you want for season 2? Craven could go so hard in Year for the Neighborhood Spider-Man. Yeah, I like, especially with the tease with the animals. Like, to me, when they showed off those animals in, I think, episode 7, I think it was episode 7 when Peter got beat up, right? Or was it episode 8? No, it was episode 8. When they showed off the lizard, right? Like, obviously that could be a tease towards, Miss Connors becoming the lizard. If she isn't already, which there wasn't any hint of it, so she'll probably become the lizard. And then even like I said, even down to the animals. Craven the Hunter is someone who craves the hunt. He wants to take down animals and just other creatures, right? So to me, it would only make sense for him to want to come to New York and maybe fight all these different heroes. Just that animalistic mindset, I think, would be very intense. And I think they could go a lot of places with having Craven involved. I'm going to be honest. I would be so mad if Harry goes evil. I love his dynamic in this. I I would be very like sad because I like the dynamic that him and Peter have. It's not this whole thing like in the comics where they started out as like enemies and then became friends over time. Like, no, they bonded over the whole thing with Captain America and becoming a hero and all that stuff. And it's like a switch between worlds because Peter is the guy who doesn't have everything but has the one thing that matters. And Harry, on the other hand, has everything that he could ever have, but not the thing that matters to him most. So when you have the opposite, it just adds more to the friendship of why their friendship works. So I don't want him to turn evil, but the only reason I feel like he would is because of his father. Because even though he appreciates Peter, he has that strong bond with Peter, he's always going to love his father. Even if his father doesn't love him the way that he would want him to, he's still going to love his father regardless. So that's the only way I see him turning, but maybe he doesn't turn in this. Maybe they stay friends. Here we go, here we go, yeah, yeah, the theme song is very catchy. Very catchy. I was listening to it today and it was, yeah, it's very catchy. I hope we do get Goblin because he's one of my new favorite Spider-Man villains, Hobgoblin. Yeah, like I said, I think Harry, if something were to happen, I think Harry would probably be Hobgoblin, like in this version, and it would make sense. It would. It would make a lot of sense. You should get dreads. I've had a lot of people tell me that, but I don't know. I don't know if dreads would fit me, if I'm being honest. Now, when Across the Spider Verse came out, and we got Prowler Miles, as they called him, but it's Miles G. Morales. I actually did thought about getting my hair like uh, Prowler Miles in the movie at one point. I thought about it, but I changed my mind on it. My favorite scenes in this block would have been the intense 1v1 with Scorpion, the heart to heart with Strange, and the final swing. Really felt the emotions and the payoff of those scenes. Yeah, that's that one-to-one fight with Scorpion is just Scorpion is that guy in the show. Like, I'm really glad they didn't just play Scorpion as this, one and done cartoon villainy character. Like, they could have done that. But no, like, Scorpion, he's really someone you do not want to mess with. And even, like, down to him having the stinger. it just adds even more. Like he was already menacing before he got the stinger, but even with the stinger, it elevated it 10 times more. And then when he got the helmet, that just added to complete it. That just completed the whole set for him. So I love that even in the final fight, Scorpion wasn't just this one and done person that you could knock out and then he's through. Like, no, he got up multiple times and he kept fighting them and fighting them. And I appreciate that. Now, some people would argue, well, that means that he needed someone else's help to take down Scorpion. But here's the thing, right? Again, Peter does not have all of his strength yet. And we know that. Like, we know that through certain moves that he does, or even when he does, hit a punch, right? Like, it's definitely not enough. And we found, like, that's another thing. We finally got to see Spider-Man punch in this. He's not always swing kicking people. Like, he's punching people. So, again, adds more to his evolution to being his own Spider-Man. And then, like I said, the heart to heart to Strange. I You guys see why I posted that clip of Strange and Peter talking. Because that's arguably one of my favorite scenes. Like, I love the show, but that's one of my favorite scenes. Just them having that conversation. Like, that is how I wish No Way Home would have ended. Just them having that conversation like that. To me, I feel like that would have been the best route. And then you have Peter kind of coming to terms with being his own Spider-Man. And then you get the final swing scene. Like, to me, even that conversation before that scene just adds even more, like you said, Dawson, even more, just adds more impact and emotion and the payoff. Like, you really felt it. And I really it felt more impactful in here than it did in No Way Home. Is it possible to disarm somebody that has a gun? Yes, it is. It is. You have to be trained. Like, if you're in the military, there's people who can just disarm and disassemble a gun like that. Like, I knew someone who he took a lot of combat training because he was in the military. He took a lot of combat training, and he told me this story about how this guy pulled out a gun on him, he was trying to rob him, and he disassembled, like, he grabbed the guy, took the gun out of his hand, and he disassembled that gun so quick that it was just like something straight out of an action movie. Like, it was a John Wick, Robert McCall Equalizer type thing that he did, and it was just like, whoa. Like, if someone is able to straight up take a gun out of your hand and disassemble it like that, you better leave them alone because they're gonna lay work on you. So, when he told me that story, I said, like, yeah, that's dope right there. He was able to protect himself, and that's kind of advice to anybody. Sometimes you have to protect yourself at all times. And that's what he told me. You have to protect yourself at all times because you never know what situation could arise, but you have to be smart. You can't do it all on your own. You don't want to do anything that gets you hurt or worse. So you have to be very smart when it comes to certain situations. So yeah, it is possible to answer your question. I was asking about Vanessa Jean being the daughter of Taskmaster. What about Vanessa? I spelled it with a G. Jean. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Thoughts on X-Men Evolution and Wolverine and the X-Men? I think X-Men Evolution, they take the X-Men characters and they kind of put it into like this 2000s, like early 2000s setting. And it really feels very 2000s when you look at the designs, kind of just the story in terms of what if the X-Men were like around in the 2000s, right? That's what it felt like. Now, Wolverine and the X-Men, I didn't watch that. I just, for me personally, and I love Wolverine. Like, he's one of my favorite X-Men characters. But I felt like there was a point in time, and I still feel like that now, where Wolverine was getting so much of the limelight to the point where all the other X-Men characters weren't really being shown off. Like Cyclops, your Jean, your Storm, your Gambit, your Rogue, your Iceman, your Archangel, your Polaris, all these characters, right? Like they weren't getting the treatment that I feel like they should have. It was mainly just Wolverine. And so when you make the X-Men feel like Wolverine's the main character when in the comics he's far from that. He's yes, Wolverine has his own solo comics and he goes on his own missions and stuff because Wolverine he's a loner. Although he likes working with the X-Men, the true reality about Wolverine is that he prefers to work alone. So when you see him go to Madripoor and all these things in the comics, it's kind of like okay, like yeah, this is Wolverine. This is his own story. But with the X Men, there's so much more story and lore and things you can dive into with the other characters that I felt like, in my honest opinion, the past couple of years, even the live action films, completely missed. So that's why I think for me, X Men the animated series will always be that leading factor. Because although we had stories with Wolverine in them, we also had stories with Gambit. We had that story, that one episode, finding out about his origin when he was in the Thieves Guild. Then you have things with Rogue and her story about, her boyfriend and what happened to him and her getting the powers of Captain Marvel. You get that. You got Jean in the Phoenix saga. You have that. You have Cyclops. He has his little stories in there. You got so many different characters, and that's why I think X Men the animated series to me was good, like the one, and then obviously X Men '97. That's up there too because they didn't focus solely on Wolverine. They focused on other X Men characters as they should have done with the previous live action films. But I think X Men Evolution, I like I said, I think it works for that time because again, it felt like what if the X Men were in the 2000s? Like they redesigned the characters. They still were the X Men characters that you knew, but they redesigned them. Like Rogue had this goth thing going on and different things like that. Marvel fan, you said I have to go. If you're still on by the time I'm done, I will hop back in the live stream. All right then. I might still be on. I probably do a 2 hour live stream today. So if I'm not on when you're back, I'll see you in the next stream. I'm trying to figure out a topic for Wednesday that we could do. I thought about maybe doing a Daredevil stream, maybe kind of going giving your guys predictions on what could happen in Daredevil Born Again, what you guys would like to see. If you guys want me to do a stream about that, let me know because we're counting down the days of Daredevil. So I think it would be perfect to kind of get in that realm now that your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man is over for the time being. What tombstone from the 90s cartoon would stop Peter from killing Scorpion? I don't think so. I don't think he would. I think Tombstone from the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, I think he would be perfectly fine with Spider-Man killing him, in my honest opinion. I think he would. Did Taskmaster teach her how to rumble? Potentially. Potentially. There's still so much mystery around Finesse that again, we're gonna have to find. Like I said, I hope they dive into because Finesse, she's like I said, she's been around the comics for a while, but we haven't really gotten this exposure to her until now. Wasn't sure about Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, but after watching the first episode, it's pretty great. What's up, Radiant Films? Yeah, like I said, all it takes is like an episode or two to kind of get people in. And I think that's ultimately what kind of helped too. People just wanted to wait and see what the show was like. And I'm glad you gave the show a chance. I'm glad a lot of people gave the show a chance because if not, I think we would have missed out on a really good Spider Man show. And I think that if that would have been the case, it would have been so unfortunate, you know? But I'm glad the roles have reversed. I'm glad people are checking it out. I've been watching reactions after reactions. Joseph Whitty, if you guys follow Joseph Whitty, I've been watching his reactions. There's a channel called Beauty and the Beard. I've been watching their reactions for the show. Obviously, Real Rejects. Just watching like a couple of channels just react to the show and whatnot, and it's just great to see others kind of being invested in the show and stuff. So I'm glad this show panned out the way I thought it would in terms of the reception. It seems the Punisher can disassemble a gun. Yeah, he can. He can disassemble a gun, and I think we'll see him disassemble a gun in Daredevil Born Again. I think we'll see that. I would love to see that. That's another thing we could see. Punisher, a fight between him, Daredevil, and yeah, yeah, Finesse. If they want to, that would be cool. I would love to see the Punisher in that design style. And it's that wouldn't be the first time that he's appeared in a Spider-Man cartoon. The Spider-Man 90s animated series, that iconic episode where, Peter, he was going through that arc where he had like multiple arms, right? And, the Punisher was trying to track him down, not really realizing that, Peter's like the hero. But at that time, with the whole thing with Morbius was going on, which that would be an interesting villain. Morbius. I wonder if there was a bat in one of those cages. Because if there was a bat in one of those cages, imagine if they do something with Morbius where maybe Norma Osborn was the cause of Morbius becoming who he is. That would just add even more of a ripple effect to Norma Osborn and his effect on that New York and that universe. Hmm. I think y'all gave me a good idea. You gave me something to think about there. Uh, and then we could get an actual Morbius done right. But to go back to your point, yeah, I think it would be cool if the Punisher showed up in here. In season two, I hope Peter will end up with Nico. I hope so too. Like I said, I love their dynamic. I love their friendship and dynamic. Speaking of, did that I know the final. I think the final issue of the prequel comic came out today, or was it yesterday? I think it came out yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. I need to read that because I need to find out what happens with the prequel comic. Let's see. Insomniac Tombstone would probably stop him. I do like their banter and friendship in the games. Yeah, he would definitely stop him, especially after Spider-Man 2. I think Tombstone he felt I think Tombstone was just tired in that game. I don't think he wanted to be a villain anymore. So I think he might be MIA for a while. He might be still doing stuff behind the scenes, but I think that Tombstone, he's probably done being a villain for a while. Yeah, we could see Morbius. Like I said, they could do a Morbius story done right. And I think I heard a bat sound in one of those cages. Really? Okay, so I'm definitely gonna have to go back and rewatch the episodes tonight because if that's the case, we might see our boy Morbius in here. And again, I think that would be really interesting to include Morbius because then you got that story there with Norma Osborn. Again, it's a whole ripple effect. If he causes Miss Connors to become Lizard, he's at fault for that. If he causes Morbius, if he causes, that whole situation with Morbius, that's on him. So all this leads to the one big main factor, Norman Osborn. You know, yeah. The next topic for the stream should definitely be Norma Osborn. Norma Osborn. I mean, what about Norma Osborn? Like, what would we talk about Norma Osborn? Like, just theories on Norma Osborn, or just like thoughts on Norma Osborn? Because, like I said, I already have the idea of just doing a prediction stream for Daredevil Born Again, because we're literally what, like 19 days, which by that point will probably be about like 5 or 4 days from that. So I will probably do a Daredevil Born Again stream, and then when the episodes come out, um, I'll, like I said, I'll do a stream like I do with these, probably like every Thursday. I think it comes out on Thursday though. It might be Friday. I might have to do it Friday. I probably will have to do the stream on Friday for Daredevil Born Again, or does it come out on Wednesday? When is March 4th? When is that? Let me look it up. You think they're going to give Norman Osborn a sword? Maybe. It's possible. But I think, if anything, he's probably going to get the G serum for sure. Let's see. Daredevil Born Again. When does that come out? March 4th. When is March 4th? When is March 4th? Okay, it's Tuesday. Okay, that's perfect then. So if Daredevil Born Again comes out on Tuesday, which I'm hearing the release schedule for that is, we get 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again on Tuesday, and then 1 episode each week after that, and then 2 episodes for the finale. I think that might be the right schedule from what I've heard, but I might be wrong about that. But I think that's the schedule. Yeah, Wednesday we'll do Daredevil Born Again episode discussion then. Nico's parents kidnapped her, and Spider-Man swings in and saves her. It's possible. Like I said, I want to know. I'm intrigued to know about her parents. What happened with her parents? What caused her to leave? Because she lived in L.A. You know, she didn't live in New York all her life. Like we found out in the prequel comic, she left L.A. and she thought it would be best to just live in a foster home. So, I definitely would like to know more backstory about her parents, because her parents, like I said, I've heard her parents are some like evil villainous characters, but I don't know much more than that. Theories on Norma Osborn, but it could be after Daredevil, since Born Again is close to the release. Okay, sure, I can do that. I can do that as a stream idea. Not notifications. Okay, but yeah, I could definitely do that as an idea. I'm interested. I'm interested as to what Osborn's hiding. Also, I wonder why Peter's father is in prison. Also, weren't Peter's parents cyborg assassins in the comics? Yes. Yeah, you're right. They were some sort of assassins in the comics, and that's why I have this feeling. And like I said, it would play into the story even more with Norman and Peter. I think Norman had something to do with Peter's parents ending up in jail. Well, his we haven't seen his mom, so his mom's probably passed. But his dad. But then the question did his mom is his mom the only one that didn't survive the plane crash? Because both of Peter's parents, if I remember correctly, both of his parents died in a plane crash. So Did was his mom the only one that ended up in the plane crash, or was he in the plane crash too, but he survived it? There's mystery there. Um, but I think Norman definitely has something to do with Peter's dad being in jail. I think he knew, personally. And like I said, it would just tie back to so much with the great responsibility, the whole great power equals great respect conversation that he had, right? It would add so much to that and why he said it that way. Um, because Norman knew the entire time. He knew Peter Parker was Spider Man. He knew it. And I'm pretty sure, like I said, he knew about his father being there. That's why he recruited him in the first place. He said he recruited him because he knew he was Spider Man. But I think it goes much deeper than that. I honestly think so. Do you think he's going to become the Green Goblin at some point down the line? I think so. I think he is. There, it's a slow burn. It's a slow burn for sure. But we're definitely getting in. We're definitely getting hints and pieces to it because we saw the glider. Um, and then somebody in the stream earlier pointed it out. I forgot who it was, but someone in the stream earlier pointed out the new Gwen art, the Spider-Gwen art. She's holding something that resembles like a legit pumpkin bomb. So I think what they're doing is they're giving us little hints and teases with the glider, with the pumpkin bomb prototype, that we're gonna see him slowly more and more descend into this madness. Like we already seen it. Norman's definitely an egotistical guy, even down to that conversation with him and Otto Octavius. He has those villainy, malicious ways, even down to this experiment with the spiders and opening up this big Broadway portal, right? So, and I think even with the symbiote, he's going to be experimenting on the symbiote too. So, he's doing a lot of plays. He's doing a lot of big evil plays that is going to, again, slowly descend him into becoming a Green Goblin. And that's why I think this show might be saving up the Green Goblin fight till the end. Green Goblin's going to be the final boss of the entire show. It just makes sense. There's so much more development between Peter and Norman's relationship and that bond that they had, but now the distrust that's there from both sides, I would imagine that's going to be a big build up to whatever this big fight between those two will be whenever that happens. But yeah, let's see. What time is it? I think it's like what, 8? That's 8. Wow. Do you go to Wednesday Council of Creators? I don't. I don't know what that is. Is it the Chainsaw Reacts? Is that what you're talking about? I think you told me about it before. I checked out that channel. Um, yeah. I mean I would. I don't know really that much about them over there. I'd have to get in contact with them to kind of, you know, have that discussion with them. But if they want me on, I'm down with coming on to their channel and whatnot. Because like I said, I'm trying to collab with people this year and stuff. So you said you would. They let anyone. Okay, well, I can't do it tonight, but I'm gonna figure out a night where I'm free, and I'll try to get on there with them if I can, and go from there. Like I said I've checked out their stuff before, but I haven't had the time. It's always different people. Okay, that's cool. Maybe I could meet some people there to collab with and stuff. So, like I said, I'll go on there eventually. It may not be this week, it may not be next week, but I will at some point. Um, but yeah, you were also on another collab. Yes, I was. I was collabing with Chillmonger last week. We were talking about T'Challa, Black Panther stuff. As always, great channel, cool people over there. Great discussion. So yeah, I'm trying to collab with some others as well. If I can, I'll see what I can do. I do have some people in mind, but I don't know. But yeah, probably gonna end the stream in like a few minutes. So if anyone has any more like questions or comments or anything about the show, let me know. I'd be down to answer them. Like I said, thank you guys for just being on this journey with me. As a content creator, as someone who is a Spidey fan in his own right. Been a Spidey fan ever since I was a small little kid, with my Spidey PJs on and my Spidey Crocs and my Spidey bed sheets and my Spidey posters and stuff. Um, I'll always love the character of Spider-Man. There's so much uh, relatability and just understanding with that character, and he'll always be my heart. It doesn't matter if it's Peter Parker, if it's Miles, if it's Gwen, if it's Hobie Brown, if it's Miguel O'Hara. It doesn't matter. To me, it's just dope that we have so many different Spider characters in this universe, and there isn't one that you probably won't find that you won't like. You know what I mean? Like, if a freaking pig, cartoon pig, can be a spider character, anybody can. So that's the power of Spider-Man. He can do what most characters try their hardest to do, and that is create something that is something that a lot of superhero characters, and I think fictional characters, have a hard time trying to replicate. I think, but with one web, created a whole infinite universe of multiple webs that weave the same web all together, the web of destiny. Um, so yeah, each and every character and oh, reconnecting. Each and every character in one way, shape, or form was destined to become Spider Man or Spider Woman. So yeah, I also liked Harry started his own company around Spider Man. Yeah, the web. I forgot what it's called, but if I heard it correctly, I think that web abbreviation stands for a ride at Disney World. I think it's Disney World, or it might be Disneyland. It's one of them. Um, there's a Spider-Man ride on Avengers Campus. I've never been there. When I went to Disney World in Florida, I don't think it was there then. I think they were just building that. So maybe I have to go to Disney World again at some point and see if Avengers campus is there, or maybe it's in California. It might be at Disneyland. I'm not sure. Like I said, it's been a long time since I've been to Disney World, so If I do, I'd love to vlog that. I'd love to vlog me at Disney World. So if I do, I will definitely give you guys a vlog, because I think that would be really cool or whatnot. But yeah, I love the music you play in your outro. Where did you get the track from? Okay, I'll put you on some music. I'll put you on some music games since I'm here, and I never really tell people about where I get my music from, but I think for some who maybe enjoy the little music I have in my outro, I can help you out. I have a playlist of different music that I add for, either background music or for other things. Hopefully it doesn't play. Okay, it's not gonna play. So it's a Pharrell and Neptune's type beat. So what I did was I just went into YouTube and I typed up Pharrell and Neptune's type beat non copyright, and I found the track. I'm gonna have to go in and actually find out the name of the track. But once I do, once I get off the stream, I'll let you know the name of the track so you can search it up. Oh, that's playing the music. So I can give you the name and whatnot. But you guys know I'm into a lot of R&B music, a lot of rap, hip hop, early 2000s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s music. That's my area. I have so many different artists that I listen to, down to Michael Jackson, Linkin Park, Van Halen, George Michael, David Bowie, Luther Vandross, Whitney Houston, Tupac, Biggie, uh, Kendrick Lamar, uh, J. Cole, Logic. I have so many. I listen to classical music. I listen to country music. I don't really listen to country music like that. Classical music, I do. Classic rock, alternative rock, rock music, classic rock. Just different things. You'd be surprised. Some days I'll just listen to elevator music because I love like it's something about some elevator music is kind of catchy. So uh, I'll just turn on my Shazam and I'm like, what's the name of the song? Boom, the name of the song is this. Then I go to my Spotify and I put in that song and now it's on my playlist. Like I have a whole playlist. Like I have different playlists on Spotify for different vibes, but on my Spotify I have like a whole playlist of all the songs I've ever collected through, rather I was in the grocery store, I was at a friend's house, or a movie had a certain song in it, or a TV show, and I said I'm rocking with this song right now. So yeah, I love music. Music is my heart. I would love to talk music on my channel, but I don't think music would do too well on my channel, to be honest with you. But I did do a video a while back. I did like a music type video. I did like two music type videos actually. But I don't know if I do it. I probably have to make a separate channel for music and stuff. But the goal is when I do get on Twitch and I have a better setup and things like that, if there are albums that come out, I definitely want to do like an album listening thing on Twitch and stuff. So once I get that straightened out, best believe your boy will have some music listening parties and stuff like that on Twitch and things like that. I think that would be really cool to do eventually in the future. So yeah. But to answer your question, like I said, I got you. Once the stream is over, I'll find out what the song is and I'll put the name down for you. Or I might just send you a link to the actual song on YouTube. It might be easier. Dawson, all right, take care. This has been a fun ride. I can't wait for what's to come from this and Born Again. Hey, Dawson, I've been seeing you supporting and everything on Twitter and whatnot, and I want to say thank you because, like I said, you guys have made this journey what it is, and I'm so fortunate and lucky to have you guys just being on this journey the entire time, and it's been amazing. And it's only gonna go up from here. Like I said, we got Daredevil Born Again, we got Thunderbolts, we got Fantastic Four, we got Superman. We got a ton of stuff this year that I'm gonna be covering, as well as some animated stuff as well that I'm gonna be covering on throughout the year. So there's plenty of stuff. Amazing World of Gumball. We're definitely gonna find out a release date for that. So that's gonna be something else that I'm gonna keep you guys up to date on. X-Men 97. I know I've been slacking on X-Men 97, but I'm gonna try to get myself back into it and kind of do some things related to that. But like I said, all in all, I've just been very focused lately, hard at focused on the content, bringing as much quality and good content as I can, and it can only go up from here. So again, thank you, Dawson. Thank you to again everybody who's just again been on this journey with me. It's been amazing. True Guy, you said the next season would be great. Can't wait to watch it. They're introducing new Spider-Man and Spider-Woman characters. Definitely didn't see this coming. Yeah, exactly. True Guy. Just stay tuned, and I think this show is going to put us in different heights that we haven't seen before. So I'm very optimistic about the direction of where they're going with the show. But yeah, man. See you, Carter. Man, like I said, it's been great. So with that, I think that's the perfect time to go ahead and end this right now. So if you're new here, maybe you checked out my stream. Definitely go check out my Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man playlist. I've done a ton of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man related content over the past 3 years. Um, I have some other Marvel things that I've done. I do animation, I talk regular show, The Amazing World of Gumball, I've talked Jimmy Neutron recently. Looney Tunes, which there's a Looney Tunes video that I have in the works for you guys. That's gonna be coming out in the coming days. Just like a ton of stuff that I'm just working on, and like I said, it's been amazing. Also, DC, I can't forget my DC squad. I got a few DC videos here and there. I want to try to get better in terms of DC stuff, but it's great to even have that community a part of this as well. So yeah, if you haven't, check out the JaceTheDon channel. A lot of great, good quality content. Maybe some things you knew, maybe some things you didn't know. I have it all. Plenty more things to do. We're very close to 1 million views, by the way. We're very close. I think we're at 900. We're at 950,000 views. So we're getting close to that 1 million view mark. So yeah, awesome. I'm really, really excited about that. Maybe I'll do a special for that, a 1 million view special or live stream. I'll figure out something to do with that. But thank you. I got a new video out today. I did put out the scene with Doctor Strange and Peter talking from Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. If you haven't checked that out, that's going crazy right now. And then today I did a video talking about the Spider-Gwen news in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 2. So those are the videos that I have. With that being said, that is all the content. Again, thank you all so much for being on this Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man journey with me. It's been a blast, and it's only going up from here. I can't wait for Season 2 and Season 3. And yeah, thank you all so much. As I always say at the end of my streams, if there's something you want to do, just do it. Go for it. Be the best you can be. Do it better than anything you could ever imagine. And the right path will lead you along the way, as well as meeting the right people. And these streams wouldn't be what they are without you guys. You guys make these streams. You guys motivate me every single day to keep making content and keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm forever gracious for that. But yeah, with that being said, thank you all so much. I hope you guys have an amazing day, an amazing week, and I'll catch you next week. So, big love to you all, and peace out.